Hey Truth Seekers, it's Nathaniel here, and today I'm going to be doing the deck profile for the deck that I used in last week's gameplay video. This week it's going to be Simon, Holy Spirit, and Faith. This Holy Spirit and Faith used to be like one of our weaker kind of decks, but during our gameplay, like this deck just took off and just kept running. It was amazing. So, to start with, for those of you who don't know, Simon has the ability that says, once per turn, you may reveal an Animo from your hand and search your deck for the previous growth stage of that animal. Shuffle your deck afterwards. Also provides a Holy Spirit, and since I have Holy Spirit and Holy Spirit Animal don't require a whole lot of Holy Spirit to activate, I only have 2 Holy Spirit and I have 2 Fasting. I also chose to run 6 Faith power cards because Faith is known to discard their power cards. And in this deck, I do not have a whole lot of ways of recycling those, so I figured I'd just go full investment on this. Alright. Moving forward, I have 1 Scarlet Cord, which says that the animal to whom this card is attached can either be returned to the hand or discarded from your small group at any time during your setup phase. If you choose to discard it, you may search your deck for any animal with an equal or lesser virtue point than the animal placed in your hand. This card must be discarded once that action is used. So basically, you attach it to an Animo, and you can either discard it, search for another Animo, or you can just return that animal to your hand. This card is extremely helpful. Then we got David Sling. The original David Sling did something quite different, but this one changes any Hope, Love, or Holy Spirit Animo. This card turns the Fellowship bonus into a Faith Fellowship bonus. So it's not very helpful in this deck. I thought it did something completely different. So essentially I could attach it to my Holy Spirit Animo that already has a Faith Fellowship bonus and turn that into a Faith Fellowship bonus. So this card's going to definitely be changed. This is more for like if you want to use Animo that have other effects, but have a different Fellowship bonus and use them. Like you could attach this to say Tweetheart and turn Tweetheart into a Faith Fellowship bonus instead of a Hope one or a Holy Spirit one. It's kind of cool. Next one we have Pawed Maws, which this goes into your active Cine spot, and then your opponent cannot reveal a Cine to you on their next turn, and at the beginning of your next turn, you remove this card and any other copies of Maw's Paws from your hand, deck, or discard pile from the game. So you only run 1 of these unless you want to see it more often, because once you activate it, you get rid of it, and it just stops that 1 turn from you having to receive a Cine. Moving on to my Cines. I have Scorch, who has a Spark, which says, action, your opponent may not use any Hope powers from their power pool or Truth Seeker on their next turn, including Hope from Prayer. Then we have Fear Crow, who says, your opponent may use any Love Animo or Love powers from their hand on their next turn, so you can't play any of them. Venomouse says, as long as this card is active, your opponent's Animo cannot be activated in the same turn that they are added or grown in the group. This card's great. It's just kind of stalling. Refrigerator. Your opponent may not use any Love power from their power pools or Truth Seekers on their next turn, including Love from Prayer. And then we got Toll Crow. As long as this card is active, your opponent may not use any special power cards from their power pools to activate Animo. Then we have Selfish. As long as this Cine is active, your Fellowship bonus of your opponent's Animo may not be enabled. And finally, I chose Venomouse Mega, who has the action, your opponent may not activate any level 1 Animo on their next turn. These are very rude Cines, very helpful. Next, moving on to our Hope or Holy Spirit Animo. I have 3 Prayer Gwens. I thought this card worked a little bit differently than what it did, but it was still pretty good. It is an 8 for 3 and says search your deck for the next growth stage of any Animo in your small group and put that card in your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. I thought it grew. I thought it was like a level 1, level 1 Sprout, but it was not. Then I got Strider. Strider has the swap ability, which says, if this card's in your small group, and your small group is full, you may choose to swap it with a level 1 Animo in your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. So you get to return this guy to your hand, play a level 1 Animo, and then you get to draw 2 cards for it. Oh, and then he grows, and I have 2 copies of Strider level 2. He has an action that says, search your deck for any one level 1 Faith, Hope, or Love Animo, excluding Ultra, and place it directly into your small group. Shuffle afterwards. This card's pretty good. Then I have 2 Dodokin level 1, who's a 1 for 2. To follow that up with Todokin level 2, who was a awesome card, who is a 3 for 10 as a level 2, but has that 13 fellowship bonus. It's really good stuff there. All right. Then, another MVP, Quillion. When this card is played from your hand, your small group may choose to draw 2 cards. If you do, you cannot grow or activate this Animo card this turn. Fantastic card. Definitely run as many copies as you can allow yourself to. And I got 2 Quillion level 2. And that's a 3 for 9. And then 2 Aquilion level 3s, which says search your deck for up to 3 standard power cards and place them in your power pool. Shuffle your deck afterwards. This was actually the reason why I ran 2 of these rather than just 1, just in case I was in a situation where I'd have to activate more Holy Spirit Animo. I can go and grab more Holy Spirit power. And the 1 for 10 is absolutely amazing, especially with that broken ability or action. It says that's fantastic. All right, moving on. I have 3 Armorino level 1, which says when this Animo is played from your hand into your small group, you may search your deck for 1 Faith Power card and shuffle afterwards. So you play this guy, go grab a Faith Power card. That's how I got access to these really quick. Fantastic card. Followed up by 3 Armorino level 2s, because you're going to want to grow this guy into this guy. He says, when this card is played to grow an Armorino level 1, you may search your discard pile for 1 card and place it in your hand. This would also be awesome with like something like Sprout or Nico, because it doesn't matter where you grow it from. It just matters that it's grown. And then you just get to recycle a card. And follow that up by this MVP. I didn't get to use his Preserve Faith action, but he's a 2 for 10. And Preserve Faith, so this is one of those unique actions that says instantly earn 2 victory points for every Faith Power card in your discard pile. No more than 10 VP may be earned in this manner. It is fantastic. I would actually run this in more of like a May deck where you're running a lot of Faith Power cards. So we'll see how that goes. Next up, I got 2 Hoofits, which is a 2 for 7. Has the ability that if this card's in your hand, you may choose to discard it. If you do, shuffle any 3 cards from your discard pile back into your deck. This card is a 2 for 7. I probably should not be a 2 for 7 because he was fantastic, because I would choose to activate him. But anytime I would need that ability, I would be sacrificing that 2 for 7, which is why they gave it to him. And then, to keep consistency in the deck, chose to run 3 of this Stagnetic. I do wish that I would have ran 1 more of the other Stagnetic that came out in Fearless, but we'll be trying. But we have some other decks that we're going to be building, so we'll get to see how he works then. But this Stagnetic says, once per turn, as long as this card is in your small group, you may choose to discard up to 3 cards from your hand. If you do, draw 1 card for each card that was discarded in this manner. I was almost decking out at some points. Then Trusty. This is a Trusty level 1 who's a 2 for 6 and grows in the Trusty level 2. I was definitely using Simon's Effect to get this because he says, as the ability says, you may choose to discard this card from your small group, including the previous growth stage and attached cards. If you do, draw 4 cards. So I would grow him, discard him, and draw. Awesome. And finally, we have my Ultras, which I chose Armorino Ultra and Hoofit Ultra. The sparkle on these cards are really strong. But this is basically a discard 2 Faith for 10, or you have the 14 Fellowship bonus. Or Hoof It, who I would use his ability rather than actually activate him. His ability is, if this card's in your hand, you may choose to discard it. If you do, search your deck for 2 Faith power cards and add them to your power pool. So I prefer this guy over this guy, but I definitely wanted to have a bit more of a powerhouse for my Ultra. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this deck. This has been our Simon, Holy Spirit, and Faith deck profile for Fearless. In the meantime, Truth Seekers, keep learning virtues and defeating Sinnies.